You're with News First on MTV Sports. This is Lunchtime News. I'm Hizrina Hizbi. A very good afternoon to you. In your headlines today, debate on the 19th Amendment to the Constitution commences for its second day. Voting this evening. Parliament approves 3 months leave for former Minister Basil Rajapaksa. Debate in Parliament over privileges granted to parliamentarians. And US Secretary of State John Kerry to visit Colombo on the 2nd of May. And now for the stories in detail. First up in local news. The debate on the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which includes the reduction of powers vested with the executive presidency, is taking place today for the second day. Deputy Speaker of Parliament Chandima Virakuri says that after the third reading, a vote will be called for to pass the bill. Now, the bill on the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was presented to Parliament yesterday by President Maithripala Sirisena. Also in local news, Parliament has approved 3 months leave for MP Basil Rajapaksa, effective today. The decision follows a request from opposition leader Nimal Siripala in Parliament today. Meanwhile, a Parliament convened at 9:30 this morning. The main order of business will be the continuation of the debate on the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, with a vote being taken on the bill afterwards. Moving on, a session of intense debate erupted after MP Bandula Gunavardhana raised a question regarding parliamentary privileges. The MP made these comments with regards of his summon to the court on certain allegations made to the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. Parliamentarian Gunavardhana went on to note that the government is conspiring against parliamentarians who are not afraid to voice their opinions. Also speaking in Parliament, opposition leader Nimal Siripala de Silva said that politicians should be allowed to enter any area where the public is gathering and that it should not be prevented at any cost. Responding to this statement, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said that an inquiry will be made into the matter, while adding that parliamentary affairs and court affairs are completely different. Now, the United Nations says that 8 million people have been affected by the massive earthquake in Nepal, and 1.4 million are in need of food aid. International aid has started arriving, but there is still a shortage of medical equipment, food and body bags. The 7.8 magnitude quake hit on Nepal on Saturday, now destroying buildings in Kathmandu and severely affecting rural areas across the region, and the death toll has now risen to 4,400.
Officials say almost the entire Nepali army and police have joined the search and rescue operations, while people are still being pulled from the rubble more than 50 hours after the tragedy. Rescue workers of India's National Disaster Response Force pulled out a Nepalese woman alive from ruins yesterday, 50 hours after the powerful earthquake struck Nepal. The woman was then rushed to a nearby hospital in Kathmandu. The Nepal government has acknowledged that it needs help from overseas, asking for everything from blankets and helicopters to doctors and drivers. The United Nations said it would release $15 million from its Central Emergency Response Fund. China, India, Sri Lanka, the UK and US are among those sending aid from abroad. Scores of people are still stuck in the mountains, and a rescue operation is underway to lift them from the frozen frontiers. Clay Branch, Senior Medical Supply Officer for the MAP International Charity, said the group was putting together an extensive medical supply shipment that would only be sent once it had clearance to land and distribute emergency health supplies, intended to support 10,000 people for 3 months. Other countries involved in aid for efforts are UAE, Israel and members of the European Union. They have sent or pledged money or supplies, including medicines, a mobile hospital and rescue teams. Military cargo planes from India and Pakistan have landed at Kathmandu airport, which has been struggling to handle the volume of cargo and civilian planes flying in. While aid has begun arriving in the capital, authorities are still struggling to deliver relief further afield. More important concerns for the bereaved was burying the victims of the earthquake. Funeral rites were taking place all across the city as the dead were retrieved from the wreckage of the homes in which they died.
Also in local news, a C-130 aircraft of the Sri Lanka Air Force, which was dispatched to Nepal, departed Kathmandu to Sri Lanka with 46 Sri Lankans earlier this morning. Air Force media spokesperson Wing Commander Gihan Seneviratne said that the aircraft had departed from Nepal at 8:45 this morning. Wing Commander Gihan Seneviratne added that the aircraft is scheduled to arrive in Katanaika at around 1:45 this afternoon. The aircraft left to Nepal last Saturday with aid and relief teams to assist those affected by the earthquake. Our management notes that the accepting of relief via the Newsfirst Sirasa Shakti Sri Lanka for Nepal humanitarian program for those affected by the Nepal earthquake has come to a halt. At present, the relief that have been received is being currently packed to send to the affected in Nepal.
Newsfirst, Sirasa and Shakti, with the intention of extending a helping hand to those who have been left destitute by the hands of Mother Nature, received a number of relief items to be distributed to those who are affected by the earthquake. We will be transporting the relief items received via the same aircraft in which the government of Sri Lanka will be dispatching aid to Nepal. The Ministry of Disaster Management today brought to our notice that due to the limited capacity in the airplane carrier, steps have been taken to stop accepting relief items, adding that the relief which has been received is sufficient. It is with regret that we note that we will not accept any further contribution for the Newsfirst, Sirasa and Shakti Sri Lanka for Nepal humanitarian program. We salute those who have made a contribution to this endeavour. However, if we receive information that another flight will be sent to Nepal with relief, we will keep you informed in this regard. We, who always extends our hand to those at a time of need, have received assistance from the Ministry of Disaster Management, the Disaster Management Centre, Security Forces and the Police Environmental Unit to carry out this endeavour. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is assisting in the coordination of this endeavour.
I really appreciate this program. I have worked as a UN doctor in Nepal. And with a certain disability that I have, it is difficult to go to Nepal and work. If not, I would most certainly go. I have been called as well. This is a service we could render as an act of humanity. This is such a generous act. If we put all the Vesak Dansals together, this will be of great significance.
Our country also faced such a disastrous situation. We know what it is like. So Sirasa is doing a great service.
My father watched the news and urged that I donate.
The acts carried out by Sirasa to help those in need during times of need is indeed an act of great generosity.
Relief items were collected at the Harrison's Building, number 330, TB Jayamawata, Colombo 10. Since roads in Nepal have been ruined by the earthquake and since the Kathmandu airport is only open for relief services, we only accepted items on the list of essential items provided by the Nepalese authorities. Based on our request, we received blankets, warm clothing, drinking water, milk powder, canned fish, dry rations, first aid kits, tents, baby products and women's sanitary items.
In other local stories, an official statement from Washington has confirmed that U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry will be visiting the island on the 2nd of May. The State Department release makes a special mention that Kerry will be joining leaders in the country to celebrate Vesak. More importantly, it adds that his visit will focus on emphasizing his previously mentioned support for a more peaceful, stable and prosperous future for Sri Lanka. His visit marks the first time that a Secretary of State has visited the island since 2005. The position of the Secretary of State is a vital one in the U.S. executive hierarchy, with the foreign policy of the U.S. hugely influenced by perceptions held by the person in the top job. Now, the Chief Prelate of the Malwatha chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Tibbatwave Sri Sumangala Thero, points out that the loss of lives and property and injuries which were the result of the earthquake in Nepal had caused much sorrow in the hearts of the Mahasangha and all Buddhists. The Chief Prelate made this statement, issuing a message of condolence.
In his message, the Chief Prelate says that the destruction caused to a neighbouring country is felt as if it had taken place here in Sri Lanka. Most Venerable Tibbatwave Sri Sumangala Thero says that the measures taken by the President and the three armed forces to dispatch relief teams to Nepal and taking other relief measures is a mark of gratitude, and the Most Venerable appreciated the initiative. The Most Venerable in his message of solace wishes that the land of Buddha be blessed by the Triple Gem and the sacred relics.
Still at home, a special discussion presided by President Maithripala Sirisena was held to address a water crisis being faced by the people in the north.
The discussion was held at the Ministry of Mahavali Development and Environment. The President noted that everyone must focus their attention on the prevalent water crisis in the north, which has caused its people much inconvenience. The presidential media unit said that the president had instructed the necessary officials to discuss the necessary measures that needs to be taken with the chief minister and the governor of the northern province. The president also sought answers from the officials on one of the main environmental issues plagued in the northern province, which is illegal sand mining. Thereby, the president ordered that necessary steps be taken to curtail this situation and prevent a major environmental issue from taking place.
Minister of Fisheries Mahinda Amravira notes that stern action will be taken against fishermen who do not adhere to orders imposed by the Ministry of Fisheries. The minister made this statement while addressing an event held in Dikovita.
The minister engaged in an inspection tour at the Dikovita harbour. The significance of this event was the introduction of a special signalling system for multi-day fishing trawlers known as BMS technology. This technology will enable fishermen to navigate maritime boundary lines at deep sea. The European Union banned our fish exports. The main reason for this ban was the allegation of our fishermen poaching in illegal waters. We are in the process of implementing the main proposal to curb this problem, that is the introduction of this BMS technology for all multi-day fishing trawlers. We will also install a vessel monitoring system which will ensure the safety of the fishermen, their vessels, and also a guideline to prevent them from approaching into illegal waters. We will also be taking strict legal action against fishermen who do not adhere to orders imposed by the ministry, because this has caused a major issue to the fishermen who fish in legal manner.
Well, that's a wrap of Tuesday's edition of Lunchtime News on MTV Sports. I am Hizrina Hizbi for News First. Do stay tuned for our hourly live at 55 updates coming your way from 1:55 p.m. onwards. Until then, have a pleasant Tuesday afternoon.